And if you guys have any questions, just let me know. You can type them in the chat, and I'm going to pull up the chat so that I will be able to get those for you guys. All right. Okay, perfect. Who's excited about this topic? I'm pretty excited. April's a pretty interesting month, especially this month, as far as planning trainings, because it seems like the entire month has been holidays, special occasions, special dates. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me live. For those of you who are not here live, I will have, well, you won't hear this because you're not here live and I haven't started recording yet. But I will have the recording. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start the recording now. So today we're going to be talking about how to bring in new buyers, and I'm really, really excited to share this topic with you. I should be live inside of the Zoom chat and the Zoom meeting room, but I'm also testing out an option to restream to a couple different other places. So if for some reason Zoom starts giving you an issue, then I think I'm live on my page, but we'll see. Cool. Tasha says I'm definitely excited. Yeah, I'm excited to share this with you guys also. Actually, I did a mind map for this training as well. The only session that I did not do a mind map for was the how to get more email subscribers. That one was a little bit more of a beginner training, and I may or may not go back and re-record that one. But I was actually sick, but I still showed up to do the training, so I didn't have a mind map for it. But it's still good info regardless. And I know someone who was on mentioned that it was really, really helpful. So if you did miss that one, you definitely want to go watch that one. The other ones that we did were last week we did, let me pull it up on my phone. So this entire series is all about helping you get ad ready, right? So the idea is that when you want to start using ads, whether it's Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Pinterest promoted pins, Google ads, wherever else you might be able to get ads, it's important to have an actual funnel. A lot of people believe that if they just turn on an ad, then all of a sudden people start buying. And it's not necessarily true, because sometimes people don't buy on the first time they see you or they meet you, and then they need some sort of follow up in place. And that's where a funnel comes into place. So that's essentially what we're doing this entire series, helping you get ad ready. We're starting with the basics, which was you need to get email subscribers so that you can follow up with them with the different promotions and things that you have. And we talked about how to get email subscribers by creating a free lead magnet, right? Then the next thing that we want to do in the next session was how to make sales with free leads. So now we're starting to talk about how to leverage ads in order to get those email subscribers, but how to do it without having to pay. And in order to do that, you've got to create some sort of lower ticket offer that you can essentially sell immediately, and it helps you recoup that ad spend right away. So if that's something you're interested in, you definitely want to check out that training as well. And today what we're going to be talking about is how to bring in new buyers. So now we're going into essentially that longer follow-up process, the process where after someone, they meet you, they give you their email address, maybe they do or don't purchase that lower ticket item. How do we actually make sales from those new buyers for our higher ticket stuff, for your courses, for your coaching? How do you get them on the phone? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, okay? If you missed the replays, if you missed the previous trainings and you're on here live, you can catch the replays until the end of the month inside of the Get Coaching Clients community. I've got a post in there that has the link to all of the replays. The videos have just been uploaded onto the event page, but I do have a link inside of the main group where it'll just say, hey, go here to go watch the replays. So you can go watch the replays there. After the end of this month, if you would like to get these replays, they will be packaged and you can purchase them, because this is super, super high value information. And I want to reward you guys for being here live, but I also want to make sure that everyone's taking advantage of it. So for those of you who are, I noticed that I do have some people watching on the restream, but that's cool. Hey, Kim is on, Jill is on. Thanks for tagging a friend. Cool. All right. So I'll leave that chat up, and then I'm going to pop this chat out also so that I can see both chats. And I'll just minimize that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen. So let me do that on Zoom first. How do I maximize this back again? Okay. So we can go ahead and get started with the training. Okay. All right. You should be able to see my screen there. For those of you who are watching this on the restream, you're going to see my screen in just a second. And boom, you guys should be able to see it too. Okay, cool. All right, so we should be good to go on that. I'm going to minimize this. I am recording. I've got the chat up. Okay, good. If at any point you have questions, just pop them into the chat where you are. Okay, and then I'll be able to see those. All right. And I'm just going to move this to this side. It's so weird because I started doing using two screens, like two monitors, and I still haven't figured out how to do it, excuse me, with my laptop yet, since I sold my Mac Mini. So it feels like I'm going back in time to to do this all on one screen, because normally I've got, it's much easier to present when you've got the two things. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go into presentation mode for this, because right now you guys can see all of this stuff. So let's go into presentation mode, and let me know if you can still see that. You should still be able to see it. I'm going to just double check. It's saying click to exit full screen. So let me try this one again. Let me know if you guys can see it. I know on the restream people, it looks like it's saying click to exit full screen. So maybe if I click to exit full screen, then you'll be able to see it. But still present. Okay. That should be it. Let me know if, okay, Ty says she can see it. Okay, cool. All right. We should be good now. All right, perfect. Whew, this one screen mess is interesting. Okay, so we're going to be covering how to bring in new buyers. And once again, this is all about those people who are on your list. Now, I want to just for a second clarify. You'll notice that sometimes I will call them email subscribers. Sometimes I will call them leads. Sometimes I will call them, potential buyers. The idea is that once someone signs up for your email list, you have an immense duty to them to not only provide them value, but to help them get clarity on what they should do next. That is the 100% of the time. That's the reason that they signed up for whatever it is that you, 99% of the time. I just thought of an instance where it's not true. But for the majority of the people, they signed up for your free thing because they need help. The 1% of the people are other marketers trying to figure out what you're doing. It's funny because there's one person that I've seen her sign up for my email list and my webinars several times. And I'm like, okay, I already know that you are talking about the same thing. You're also a marketer and you're talking about funnels. And so there's no way that you are actually interested in buying the product. But I see you. I realize that you're looking to figure out what I'm doing. And that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. As long as, no one actually decides to steal my direct content. All right. So when I say bring in new buyers, what I mean is essentially converting subscribers into buyers. So how do we convert those subscribers into buyers? All right. So if you guys are not familiar with me and who I am, my name is Letitia Stiles. That's me again. And I am the host and founder of the Get Coaching Clients community, which has had several names before, but we are settled on Get Coaching Clients community. And you can get there by going to letitiastiles.com/community. It's a community of coaches, consultants, and course creators. And for the most part, we talk about marketing and mindset. It's a really good place to connect with fellow coaches and to learn more about how to actually get clients, right? But I'm sharing a lot in there. And then, there's some good conversations that are being had in there as well. One thing that I really like that we recently started doing was the Coaching After Dark series. And I've got to write the one for this coming Monday. But basically what we're doing is late Monday evening, and I might change it to Sunday evening, but late in the evening, I will post a slightly modified version of a true story that's happened to either me or another coach, and basically ask your opinion on it. I think the first one was something like, would you accept this payment? And it was a whole story about, a potential client who was on the phone and her husband was yelling in the background. So it's actually been really interesting. So, we do more in there than just talk about marketing, and that's something new that I'm really excited about. All right. So what is our journey today for talking about how to bring in new buyers? Well, I can sum this up in one sentence, which is bringing a new buyer and converting a new buyer from an email list subscriber is all about building the know, like, and trust factor. Okay. This is that KLT factor. If you're just hopping on, make sure that you are muted so that the audio doesn't come in. I think everyone, here we go. There we go. Okay, cool. I just muted everyone. All right. So the idea behind this is that you want to create a sales funnel, and that's really what a sales funnel is. So a lot of times people are like, what is a sales funnel? How do I start a sales funnel? Is a sales funnel, something that I should be worrying about? And my answer to that is yes. But you've got to be familiar with exactly what a sales funnel is. And the issue is that sometimes, hang on a second, let me fix this. I wanted to put my little chat face in the corner. The issue is that sometimes people get bogged down into like the technical details of creating a sales funnel, and they don't simply think about the customer journey. At the end of the day, it's really all about the customer journey. What is the customer journey? Meaning, how do you want people to grow that know, like, and trust factor for you? Okay. For the most part, your sales funnel is going to include ad retargeting, meaning these are people who you think might be interested because they've already expressed interest. And once again, we're going to be talking more about the ads in the final training. It's going to include some sort of email follow-up. And then one thing that I like to include is a webinar. And a webinar is something just like this. It's just a video training where you can do slides. I personally like doing these mind maps because they're relatively easy and quick to put together. And this is how my brain looks anyway. My brain doesn't look like sequential slides. It looks like, oh, I forgot about that. Okay, let me talk about that. So that's essentially going to be our journey today. We're going to be talking about this know, like, and trust factor. Okay. I'm going to give you the link to this afterwards if you'd like to come back to it. Okay. All right. So what does the know factor look like? Give me some, for those of you who are on here live, give me some ideas of ways that people can get to know you. How can people first meet you and get to know you? Yes, I'm putting you on the spot. How can people first meet you and get to know you? Give me some ways. It's a good chance for me to drink some water while I wait for you to type your comment in the chat. And if you're on the live Zoom chat, you can just type your comment in the, go down to hover over to the bottom and it'll say chat. You can just click and type it in there. And if you happen to be on live on YouTube or Facebook or any one of those other platforms, then you can just type your comment in and I've got a whole thing. I can see them all. Okay, Corey says asking questions. Excuse me. Ty says social media posts, video. Kim says video, live streams. Okay, these are all great examples. So a way that someone can get to know you, how do they find out about you? Live. Okay. Vi, I hope I'm saying, I'm going to call you Vi. Vi says through live streams. Jill says share fun facts via email or reintroduce yourself on Facebook. Yeah. So those are all great ways for someone to get to know you. Okay. I'm going to give you a ton of ways for someone to get to know you. They can meet you on Twitter. You happen to be tweeting, right? And they meet you on Twitter. They can meet you on Facebook. Okay. They can meet you on Pinterest, through your blog. You got Instagram, you got YouTube, you got a podcast, you got LinkedIn. So these are all places, potential places for someone to meet you and get to know you. Tasha says creating video. Great. Those are all great answers. Okay. So when we think about what are the ways that people can get to know us, where you're like, I need to find clients. I can't find clients. How do I get coaching clients? We want to think about maximizing all of these areas. And the next thing that usually when I say something like that, the next thought is like, oh my gosh, well, do I have to be everywhere? How do I do all of this stuff? There's only so many hours in the day. I got kids, I got a job, I got all sorts of stuff to do. And I completely understand. Okay. So what I always recommend is choose 2 platforms. You want to choose a search-based platform and an engagement-based platform. So your search-based platform means that someone can type in the thing that they're looking for and you will pop up. An engagement-based platform is something where someone happens to share or comment. Like, for example, where Jill tagged Vi and Vi came to the training. That's an example of an engagement-based platform. Okay. So and before I go into that, choose your top 2 platforms. So for me, my top platforms are Facebook and YouTube. So my search platform is YouTube. Anyone can type in, if you type in how to get coaching clients or how to sell group coaching, one of my videos will actually pop up. I just checked it today, so I'm pretty excited about that. And so that's someone searching for the problem, right? How to get coaching clients. And then if you happen to be on Facebook and someone tags you, well, then that's a way for me to find people on Facebook or for people to find me. For Twitter, a couple of tools that I like, and I'm just going to kind of run through a couple of these tools, but this is not really our focus today. But I want to give you some options for managing your time on these platforms. All right. Tweepy is an option. I believe it's one of the last platforms that's still Twitter approved in order for you to find new followers and grow your following. And then MeetEdgar is the platform that I use to send tweets, and it's an approved platform as well. And that's one that I use to I pull tweets from when I publish a YouTube video. I've got that will automatically go in as a tweet. When I publish a blog post, it'll automatically go in as a tweet. And when I get featured on podcasts and things like that, I can load all those up into MeetEdgar. And so I spend, on average for Twitter, maybe about 30 minutes to an hour each month for Twitter, because it's not my main platform, but I still want a presence there. Okay. For Facebook, you've got Facebook groups, which I highly recommend. This is a service that if you have your own Facebook group, this is a service that I recommend called GroupFunnels that will help you capture email addresses and bring potential leads onto your list. And then for Facebook, I don't have a scheduling platform that I recommend, simply because Facebook will prefer and prioritize when you schedule things natively inside of the app. Okay. Is this making sense? All right, cool. For Pinterest, the service I like to use is called Tailwind. That will allow you to schedule. For your blog, a lot of people, if you like to write, then you'll start by blogging. If you like video, you'll start with YouTube. And if you like speaking more, you'll start with a podcast. With a blog, writing is not my forte. So typically there, I'm going to repurpose my emails. I'm going to repurpose my YouTube videos. And what I've done is I will start with a YouTube video or with a webinar, an old webinar that I did that I'm no longer promoting. I will transcribe the whole thing and then edit it and make it blog friendly. And that's worked really well for me. Okay, you got Instagram. Once again, you can schedule via Tailwind. I actually have a post scheduled for Tailwind later on today. YouTube, once again, this is my hub. So this is where I typically start my process for people to get to know me. I create videos, then I take those videos and I repurpose them other places. Okay. If you like speaking, then you'll do podcasts, and Libsyn is a great software for you to host your podcasts. And then finally, honorable mention is LinkedIn. Leonard, and this is actually Meet Leonard. Meet Leonard is a tool to help you connect with potential clients by searching. Basically what you do is you figure out what keywords, what types of clients you're looking for, and then Meet Leonard will go and find those people for you, and it's a more hands-off way to do it. And then also I schedule stuff via Meet Edgar as well. You can do scheduling inside of Meet Leonard. So I use Meet Edgar for that. All right. So this is that's just one piece of the pie. Now, the issue that comes in is that a lot of people spend the majority of their time here. If you're spending the majority of your time on social media, creating LinkedIn posts, writing blogs, and you don't have a funnel, then you're kind of starting backwards. The first thing that you want to do is actually know where people are going to go when they get to know you. Okay. And that's where we move into the like factor. So I'm just doing know, like, and trust in order, but I prefer to start with the like factor first, simply because once I have this set up, now I can create any number of YouTube videos I want to create, and I can say, hey, go watch this webinar, and it's the easiest way for people to get to know me and come and join my world. Okay? Is all that making sense? Let me know in the comments. Say yes. And while you comment, I'm going to have some water. My husband was making fun of me when I had, he was like listening to the replay of one of my videos, and you could like hear me drinking water. He was like, you should edit that out. I'm like, I drink water the whole time I'm in there, so I'm not going to go through and keep editing each one. All right. I don't see any comments. Let me make sure everything is still working. Say yes. And comment if you are still here with me. Okay, good. Hi, B. Welcome. Okay, perfect. Okay, good. Just making sure. Just checking. All right. So let's move into the like factor. Ooh, okay. The like factor, this is basically your content strategy, and we got a couple pieces for this like factor, which is the who, what, why, how, and when. Okay, so let me break all of these down instead of just trying to do a summary and confusing everything. Okay, so the who is who are you and who are they? And the reason I put this is that when you're creating content and trying to get someone onto your email list so you can later convert them into a client or immediately, right, with that free lead strategy, you've got to know who they are. And not only that, but you also have to know who you are. And essentially, this is one of my favorite copywriting mentors. His name is Colin Terrio. He talks about lock and key personas. And that's what this is. I realize that I'm on video doing that, but that's what that is. It's a lock and key persona. And the lock and key persona is basically, how does what you do match in and fit directly with exactly what they're looking for and who they are. So for example, a lot of my potential clients tend to be introverts. And the reason that I'm the best person to help them get clients is because as an introvert, I'm extremely confident in my systems to help me get clients versus, trying to go out there and do all the things that a lot of extrovert type people will tell you to do. Or I once had somebody told me that I need to just get over it. They're like, oh, that introvert thing is just something you're hiding behind. You need to just get over it. And who you are is not something you just get over. That's another story for another day. But the idea is that it doesn't have to be a weakness. It can absolutely be a strength. And that's what I believe. And so that's why I'm best suited to fit the clients who come to me, because they tend to say, well, I don't want to go out there and have to do a million phone calls or cold calls, or I don't even want to do sales calls at all. I actually just, I want people to come to me and they're ready to buy. And then we just, lock everything up and go. And it's 100% possible to do. And so that's why I'm best suited to fit my clients. So until you know that thing of who they are and who you are and why you're best suited to fit them, you're going to have a hard time creating the content. There's a lot of people who talk about webinars, a lot of people who talk about how to create a group coaching program or how to do this or how to do that. But why would someone specifically want to work with me? Why do they want to specifically work with you? What makes you different? Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing that you've got to match up is the what, which is, I'll leave this out for those of you who are taking notes. What is your solution and what are they struggling with? And this, once again, is that lock and key. So what is your solution and what are they struggling with? Meaning, how does what you offer fit into what they're struggling with? When I say I offer help with someone to get coaching clients, their struggle is they can't get coaching clients, right? So that's how those two match together. Okay. When you create your content, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later when I get into like the whole webinar part, but when you create your content, you want to be really clear on what doubts they have as to why it might not work for them. You want to essentially kind of poke at those fears, right? So I'm scared that I'll never actually get coaching clients. I'll never be able to quit my job. Or if I have, I'll never be able to make this sustainable and I'll have to go back to a full-time job. Like, what are those fears that they have? And then their insecurities as well. Like, you have to know those things. And this is not about exploiting them. As an ethical marketer, you're not going to come at them and say, well, there's a reason that, you're not making the money that you want to make because you're not spending the money that you should be spending. Like, that's not what this is about. This is about helping them get really clear on it through your content, through whatever you're starting to create, so that they begin to trust you, right? That this is the beginning of the trust, which is the next piece we'll talk about. But the beginning of that trust is understanding their doubts and being sympathetic and empathetic and saying, like, I understand that you're nervous that you might not be able to grow a coaching business because you're an introvert, right? I had that exact same doubt as well. So whatever your specific thing is, then that's what you're going to focus on. Okay. And that's when you start tying in your solution. And at this point, a lot of people will say or think incorrectly that you can't start talking to people about your solution. But I think this is one of the best times to talk about it because you're coming at it from an empathetic standpoint. Then there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, by the way, this is something that I offer. And if you'd like to check it out, you can go here. This is not where we're doing the hard sell. If there is a such thing as a hard sell, it's essentially where we're opening their mind to where they're like, oh, there is another option. A great way to do that is on a training. So something like this, where you're like, this is exactly what I do with my clients, or I talk about this more in my coaching program. And essentially all you're doing is starting to see that there is a way for them to get additional help from you. Okay. All right. So the next piece is the how. How can you help and how else can they get help? This is really, really important. Before they've made the decision to trust you. And so before they've made the decision to trust you, you don't just want to present how you can help, because they don't know if they want to work with you yet. They're still kind of getting to like you. They haven't trusted you yet. And so in this, I really like to include how else they can get help and then compare and contrast those ways to do it. And an example, which is something I just use, is you can absolutely work with another coach they might be an extrovert and they might tell you to do all of these things like go to networking events, go to the Chamber of Commerce, do a presentation, create your own live event. And so those are things that my potential introvert clients are deathly scared and afraid of. And so when I give them options of how else they can get help, like absolutely all those other ways will work, but will they work for you? So this is important. This is what you're going to be sharing in those pieces of content to build a like factor. Ideally, these are behind your email wall, meaning they need to give you their email address in order to get these. And it depends. Let me rephrase that, because all of the content you create is not going to be behind an email wall. So usually what I do is I have essentially levels of access, and in a free group, right, I will provide content like this, but the level of access is that you've got to request access to join the group, right? You've got to join the group. And in some cases, some people provide their email address when they first sign up because we got those 3 questions, but everyone does it, and that's fine. And for longer training, so something like this would be something where, yeah, I would request and require an email address to register. And in this case, it's inside of the Facebook group, and I have a specific strategy for this versus normal other trainings that I do, but there's always some sort of request. There's always some sort of reciprocity. If it's something that I've created that's like a blog post or something like that, what I might do is provide 80% of what I want to share, and then the 20% is like, hey, here's how you can get the rest of this, or here's how you can get a more robust version of this. Here, give me your email address and I'll send you the PDF or something like that. Okay, is that making sense? All right. Okay, then you've got to answer the why, which we kind of talked about a little bit up here, the why you. We talked about who are you, but this is really getting a little bit more into why you specifically. Okay, so this is your value proposition. And what works well with this also is like, if there's something that really frustrates you and like makes you rant, then that's where you want to pull this up. Like, oh, I get so frustrated when people say just go to networking events, because networking events, number one, they're intimidating, they're boring. A lot of times it's people just trying to hit on you, and it's not great for getting clients. And if that was something I was really, really frustrated about, which as you can see, I'm just like, I'm not. But if it was something I was really frustrated about, then absolutely, I would create something and talk about that. My topics that I rant about are more mindset based topics, like, I can't think of anything right now, but basically like the beliefs that a lot of people have that prevent them from being successful. And the reason that it's a hot button topic for me is because it's something I've experienced in the past as well. And it frustrates me because I see it with women in general, and people of my color as well, who are limiting themselves and preventing themselves from getting paid as much as they possibly could because of the mindset shifts, the mindsets that are there. And so that's part of what I feel my mission is to help people to have a wealthy mindset. All right. This also goes into your personal branding. So your personal branding is, who are you? Where did you come from? One of the really great exercises that we do inside of the You've Got Clients course is to have you craft your story. And there are several clients in there, when they get started creating their story, it gets really emotional. And one of my clients who did really, really well and sold like 18K worth of her course after taking the program and going through those steps with me. This was actually before the program was created. This was the seeding of the program. But when she did her story, she actually was crying, and I don't think she ever really got that raw with it. And it makes people really connect with you when they can see where you've come from, what you've overcome in order to get to where you are. And that's what answers that why you. It's not just My unique selling proposition is that I'm really good at helping people write a webinar. Like, that's not my unique selling proposition, right? It ties into what my personal branding is and all of that. All right. And then the final thing that this content, so when you're creating that content for the like phase, is answering the when, meaning why now? Why can't you wait to get this done? How long are you gonna, keep trying to make this business work before you actually stop and get help? That's the type of content that you're creating there. Now, as far as, like I said, where I like to share this content, I will share this in any number of places, on the socials, on, in blog posts, in videos. A lot of times, I will share the what in YouTube videos. So like how to get coaching clients, how to create a group coaching program, how to write a webinar, how to get webinar registrations, because that's the thing that they're struggling with. And at the end of it, I will invite them to learn more about my solution. So this is really where I hang out with like the free stuff. And then as far as the who are you, who are they, for me, like that's really like Instagram. I share a lot of stuff Instagram on there, personal branding, Instagram stories, rants, Instagram. That's like my second favorite platform. And the why now, that is specifically, I share that inside of my webinar and that content. All right, good time for a break. Okay, Kim said I just answered her question. Okay, good. All right, so I saw that comment from Kim, so that means that you guys are still here. And let's move into the next one. I'm actually making good time, so I'm pretty excited about this. Okay, the final piece is building the trust factor. Now, notice that this training is a little bit more abstract. It's not like, hey, write this email, then write this email, then write this email, then write that email, and then people will buy from you. And the reason that it's a little bit more abstract and a little bit more centered around the psychology behind it is because that's what marketing is all about. When you know the marketing psychology and the framework, you can write in any sort of email in your personal voice, saying what you want to say, and have that email convert for you, and have that piece of content create sales, and have that webinar create sales. Okay. So it's really about understanding the thought process of this person who has decided to give you their email address. They met you on social, or even maybe they met you in person, and you sent them a follow-up email to say, hey, I've got this free ebook for you. And actually, sidebar, that's what I used to do. And actually I still do. So when I meet people at networking events or go to like special events or whatnot, I will, I have my business card and we exchange business cards. And we have a conversation first. So I make sure that there's someone who could potentially be a good fit. And after that conversation, I will write a little short note on the back of their business card and then continue in the event. When I get back, I have a form email that's already pre-scripted and written out. And all I have to do is customize it to our conversation. And I offer them a free lead magnet. I don't automatically add their email address to my list, because that's like picking someone up. Do y'all ever play the Roller Coaster Tycoon? Anyways, you used to be able to pick, or SimCity or The Sims or whatever, where you can like pick someone up and then like drop them in the pool and then like take the stairs out, and then they're swimming and then they get tired and they can't get out. Anyways, but that's what it's like when you add someone to your email list. That's like you picking them up, dropping them in the pool, and they have no idea how they got there. So anyways, what I would do is I would email them after an event and say, hey, here's a link to, it was great to chat with you. We talked about such, whatever. I think this would be helpful. And here's a link to the thing. So that's essentially how I bring people on my list after networking events. Okay. All right. So building the trust factor. Whew, this is big. Okay. There's a couple of ways before I get into webinar, because y'all know that I'm biased. I do webinars. I love webinars. Webinars are my jam. There are a couple of different ways to build the trust factor. Okay. Something like this is technically a webinar. Even though there's no sales pitch at the end, all of your webinars don't have to have sales pitches. They should absolutely always have a call to action. And a call to action is simply, here's what to do next. And this is the action to take. So I like doing video trainings because I'm a teacher at heart. So I like trainings like this. If you just like talking and like just getting that engagement and chatting with people, just do a live stream. I prefer a live stream series simply because random people can pop on your live stream, and it doesn't indicate how interested they are. However, when you do a series, by the time you get to the end of it, you'll know who's most interested because they've been there with you for the entire series. I prefer a 3-part series, and that's what I teach inside of You've Got Clients. The other thing that you can do is you can host a summit. That's a lot of work. I wouldn't recommend it. You can write, but writing is not like the written word is not always as powerful of a trust builder as when someone can actually see you and when they can actually hear your voice. Podcasting is a really good way to build that trust factor. But it's not the same as a targeted webinar. A targeted webinar is very specific to the thing that you're ultimately going to offer. On a podcast, the idea is that you're just kind of chatting and you're not necessarily teaching, you're just kind of chatting. And then at the end, you're like, hey, subscribe to my podcast and leave us a 5-star review. So we want to get something a little bit more valuable than that. And that's why I really like a webinar. Okay. Now, the reason that I say do a webinar and the reason that I like a webinar is that it helps you to pre-qualify your potential clients. You can get on a live stream or just create a post and say, hey, sign up for a call with me. Okay. If you do direct to call, number one, you've got to coordinate schedules. All right. Well, let's say that you've got Acuity scheduling to help you with that. And you're like, oh, that's not a big deal. Okay, that's fine. But you do need to be free on those days. You're going to have to cater each pitch to the individual person, meaning every single person is going to get a differently structured pitch. And that means that you really don't have a way to you don't have a way to standardize and to practice your pitch. Okay. They're not as qualified. I got so many calls when I was, I had a website and I think it's still up. I still own the domain, but I think it's still functioning. It's called freecallwithtish.com. I don't do very many free calls anymore, but I used to send people, I did live streams. And if you watch the 8 Steps to 8K series, you'll notice me in there saying, hey, go get on a call, go to freecallwithtish.com. And my issue with that was that those calls were not always qualified. There were like 20% of the people who were qualified. And by qualified, I mean someone who already knows you, they already like you, they trust you, and they just need to get a couple questions answered before they buy. And my issue was that I had to start teaching on the call, meaning that I had to teach people about who I was, why they should work with me, like all of those things that I shouldn't have to say on a final call. Those are things that I feel like I want them to come to the call prepared, knowing who I am, why they want to work with me. And all we really need to do is kind of lock up those last couple things. I give you the investment, you choose split pay or full pay, and then we go from there. Okay. I found it to be a time suck simply because I was on calls. People wouldn't always book calls back to back. So sometimes I would have 2 calls here, and then I would have like 45-minute break and then like 2 more calls. And so it was hard for me to plan my day. And so I started messing around with the different settings inside of Acuity so that my calls would be as close together as possible. And then like only took a certain number of calls per day. And then by the end of it, I was like, no more calls. And I feel so free. and now I only do paid consults. So I have a Latte with Letitia, which is a paid consult. It's priced at $4.97, and it runs around 20 minutes plus, but it also includes pre-work where I get prepared for the call and I'm able to do a laser targeted coaching call. And I feel like that is one of the best ways that I can serve potential clients versus, people who are coming to the call who would not be a good fit to work with me anyway. Okay. The benefit is that for these calls is that you can sell specifically what they want. So one of the benefits was this was before I had like standardized packages. I was able to like customize packages for them. Okay. How many of you are doing free calls? Type yes if you're doing free calls. Okay. All right. Great idea about the lead magnet after meeting someone. You're welcome. Yeah, summit is a lot of work. Jill, I think you did a summit. Which is the fastest way to convert prospects to clients? The number one fastest way to convert a prospect into a client, meaning someone gives you their email address and then they suddenly become a client, in my opinion, is a webinar. They can meet you on day one. They can sign up for your webinar, your training, whether it's slides or no slides, whether you're talking, whatever it is. At the end of the webinar, you have a standardized pitch that you've done over and over and over again that you know works. They get on the phone with you, or you do a sale directly from the webinar. But if they get on the phone with you, they're just getting on to answer, to get a couple questions answered. And I've had people who literally like just met me, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but they just met me. They watched the webinar. They were like, I already know I want to work with you. And it's happened more than once, which is why I say this is my favorite way to do it. Okay. All right, cool. Yes. You're doing calls. All right. Yeah. Trying to get out of it. Doing too much on the free calls. Yeah. I converted with you really quickly through a webinar in a weekend. Yeah. And that's the thing. The key here is that, if it's something that you've done, then that means that there are more people out there that are going to do what you've done, but you just have to speak to those people, and you just have to be unavailable for the other people who are like just tire kickers. I know specifically when someone is just around to waste my time, and I don't pull any punches with them. I'm just like, if they're like, hey, I'm interested in your VIP program. How much is it? Like, here's the price. Because I don't have, I'm not required to get on the phone and try to convince them. If you want to work with me, how fast I can help you get results. And if you don't know that, then what's the point of us getting on the phone? Like, I'm not going to get on the phone to try to convince you. That's not my job. Okay. All right. I like automated webinars. However, you can choose a live presentation. A live presentation, you might stumble over your words. You can't automate it. You have to dress up. Like, I put on a little bit of makeup for this, right? But the benefit is that you can use that same presentation every time you do it live. People will say, do your presentation live several times before you automate it. I don't think that's necessary. I had 3 versions of the current webinar that I have that sells You've Got Clients. The first version didn't do great, but I was able to see where are people dropping off. And I was like, oh, okay, it's too long. So the next version was much shorter. And then I was able to see where are people dropping off. And I was like, oh, okay, it's still too long. And so the next version was a lot shorter, punchier. I skipped over a lot of the backstory that I thought I needed to have in there. And I did another survey to figure out where was I missing stuff. And then that's the one that's been doing well. And I didn't have to present it 75 times to different people every time, because there's going to be different people every time, which is going to skew your data. Meaning that if you have 100 people that come to the first presentation and 20 people convert, and then you have 100 different people who come to the next presentation and that presentation is different, well, like, you can't rely on the fact that 50 people converted from this one, simply because it could be the audience. It could be the difference in presentation. Okay. And then once again, you can also do live streams. I don't always do live streams just because for me as an introvert, they're emotionally draining. You can't automate them. You have to be live. You might get distracted by comments, but the benefit is that you can drive very warm traffic. So I will say the benefit of doing a live stream is that when you do a live stream, the people who are on your live stream, and if they stay, they're actually interested in what you have to say and what you have to offer. So it's very likely that they're going to be, it's going to be that much easier to send them over to whatever you want to send them to. Okay. Let me see where we are here, because There we go. I believe that this next piece I need to zoom out and then go to the next section. So let me see if I can find it. And let me know if you guys have any questions while we're here. Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't done with that one. All right, let me come back in here. And then we'll go back here. And then we'll come back here. This is fun. I'm working on this whole one screen thing. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I wanted to share, now that we're all decided that we are doing a webinar, okay? And I don't want you to get intimidated by a webinar because it's really not difficult. It's really a matter of you sharing what you have to share and then asking them to book a call. And I find the part where most people get tripped up is, number one, they feel like it's got to be this whole big production and they get overwhelmed before they even get started. And number two, they feel constrained by the fact that it's a webinar, but this is what works. Okay. It's very simple. So how do we make a powerful webinar? Okay. Number one thing we want to do is we want to provide aha moments. Now, the reason I say provide aha moments is because I have a lot of clients who have an issue with teaching on a webinar where they're going to say, this is how you do it, right? They might say something like, I'm going to help you to lose 10 pounds. And the way that you do it is by, eating XYZ. But it's not necessary on the webinar to say, eat XYZ. The only thing that you really need to do is provide an aha moment. Like, I realized that I wasn't eating the right foods for my body type. That's an aha, like, oh, I have a specific body type. And y'all, I'm just making this up. Okay. I'm not a, I'm not a lose 10 pounds guru. Okay. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. But they might be like, oh, I didn't realize that I had, like, what are body types, right? So you want to give them an aha moment. People feel like they're being taught when they get aha moments. Then at the end of it, you say, if you'd like to go further with this and you want my help, I'm going to give you not only the specific, I'm going to tell you exactly what your body type is. So that could be the free call. On the free call, I'm going to tell you exactly what your body type is. But inside of my training, so there's two options. If you're going to go to a call, then say, join me for a call. I'm going to tell you exactly what your body type is. And if it makes sense for us to work together, I will put together a program to give you the specific types of food to eat and give you accountability and all of that, right? Or if you're going directly to a purchase, directly to the sale, then you would say something like, here's where you can get, as a thank you, right, for joining me for this webinar, download your, what's your body type quiz or something like that. And, but if you'd like to take this further, here's my course to help you figure out what foods to eat. And, the first section where I'm going to tell you exactly what your body type is, I'm going to tell you section 2, what foods to eat. And section 3, how to make delicious recipes from these food. And section 5, how you can still eat cookies and lose weight, right? So that's how you provide aha moments on a webinar where people feel like they're getting taught without actually giving away the thing that they're paying you for, right? This is not about giving away the thing that they're paying you for. So what we like to do is share what's worked using testimonials. These are all examples of clients that I've worked with inside of You've Got Clients. And these are just the YouTube image thumbnails. They don't actually play. But inside of the training, obviously I am going to highlight these clients because I want to not only share with them like, hey, these people did it, and this is how they did it, and this is where they were starting, right? Because everyone's going to have a different starting point. So you want to emphasize that. This is not just like, look at these people, they're awesome. This is, how are you like these people? And that's essentially what you're doing with those testimonials, okay? You're also going to break their false beliefs. So things that they think, like people, you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times when someone's going to come on your webinar, they're going to think that they already know, number one, what you're offering, number two, how you're offering it, and number three, that they've tried everything. So among other beliefs. So you want to break those beliefs. Like, I know that maybe you have tried a webinar in the past, but you haven't done the anti-webinar, right? So you've got to figure out what are those beliefs that they have. All right. Then you want to install new beliefs. And those new beliefs will be, number one, in you, in your process, and then in themselves. So believing that you can help them, that's the credibility builders. We do that very quickly at the beginning. In your process, we do that with testimonials. We do that by actually sharing the process. So I actually share the anti-webinar when I'm doing my training. I share, hey, this is what it is. And also in themselves. So why are they a good fit? And why should they believe that they can actually get results with this? Okay. All right. The final piece for this is, where do Facebook, what'd I do? I clicked too hard. Okay. Where do Facebook and IG ads come into play? How many of you are actually using Facebook or IG ads? Comment FB if you're using Facebook ads, and IG if you're using IG ads. And if you're using both, comment FB and IG. Okay, I see a FB. I see a FB. Who else? Okay, Sunday, sorry, I'm just seeing your question. What tool are you using to track webinar drop-offs? I use a tool called VOO Player, VOO Player. You can also use Vimeo. You can actually also use Facebook as well as YouTube. I have used Facebook in the past where I've done a live stream, and then you can see where people are dropping off. Same thing with YouTube. I currently use VOO Player because they have some other marketing options that I really like, including they have a buy button that you can have pop up at a certain time. Okay. Kim, can you explain what category? I'm not sure. I don't think, maybe I missed your. Okay, if I could just consistently get people to the webinar, I'd be good. Okay, good. That's a good segue into what we're about to talk about with Facebook and IG. All right. Okay, cool. Facebook. I want to do IG. So I'm going to tell you this, and this might be the best kept secret. So we're going to be talking about Facebook ads in the next training. And I'm going to give you details on how to actually register for that one. You will have to register because even though I am, it's a joint webinar, but I'm not hosting it on my platforms. Monica's going to be holding it on her platforms. So you're going to have to register via email for that. Okay. I'm going to give you more details in a second, but here's the secret. Okay. Instagram ads are cheaper. Only when you do them right though. So Facebook is getting super crowded. People are not using Facebook as much, and IG is just a much cleaner feed. And I found conversions for specific things, but webinar conversions on Instagram I can get for as low as like $1.20, $1.40, versus it was costing me for the same webinar conversion like $2 or $3 for a specific webinar that I was doing. And I'll give you another hint at what works really well, which is a little short video. Short video, I use box video. I put some text at the top and bottom, and it works really well. Okay. However, the issue is that most people don't know how to reformat their content for Instagram. So you can't just put an ad on Facebook and then check the box for it to go everywhere and then assume that you're going to get good results on Instagram, because there is a difference in the audiences, what they respond to, and hopefully we'll be talking more about that. However, if you're already doing Instagram ads and you want to do a consult, you can do one of those Latte with Letitia's with me, and I'll help you get your IG ad popping. Woo, okay. All right, we're almost we're coming up on an hour, so we're gonna be done in just a couple minutes. Okay. Jill says, how long is a short video for Instagram ads? Currently, they need to be under a minute, so 59 seconds. All right, so let me tell you the story about how $35 turned into $3,333. Number one, which is easy, I created a webinar. So this was when I was first starting my coaching business. This was the very first time. And so I was just getting started with ads. Ads on Facebook were much cheaper than they are now. So the $35 went a long way. And I hosted a webinar, and then I created an ad in order to get more people to that replay. And I think I was doing an ad for the registration too, but I believe this one was, I think this was for the registration, because I don't think I was doing replay ads yet. Yeah. So I spent $35 to get people to register for that webinar. I had somebody come and watch the webinar, and she actually wasn't on the live version because I would have known, but she actually had watched the replay. She booked a call with me, and she signed up for, at the time, was my highest coaching package, which was $3,333. And I asked her, which you should be doing to everyone, how did you find out about me? And she said, I watched one of your trainings, and I realized if you gave this much value on the training, how much more value could you give if I decided to hire you? And that was because like she wasn't on my email list. So she was brand new, and she clicked on the ad, watched the training, and became a client. And that's happened for me several times since then, which is why I'm like, I always harp on webinars, that's like the number one thing for you to do. And the reason that $35 worked is because I was very specific on who I wanted. And once again, it was a lot cheaper back then, but the benefit is that you can get a lot of people into the know phase. So that process of people getting to know you, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, like how many of you guys know, it depends obviously because we're going to be targeted by the different people, but Danielle Leslie, Nicole Walters, I know Danielle Leslie in particular, like I see her ads all the time, right? If they don't know you, they can't buy from you, right? So that's how you start getting people to get to know you. Like, yeah, you can do the organic stuff and the social media and the SEO and the YouTube videos. But for the most part, if you want to get a lot of people to get to know you, like driving traffic is how you're going to get that. Okay. Now, a lot of times people are like, well, I got to spend money and like it's too much money. But remember, we talked the last training about that free lead funnel. I have leads coming in where I don't have to pay for them, or I pay very little. So for $1 of ad spend, I'm getting back 50 cents. And sometimes I'm getting back $1 for that free lead funnel, meaning that it's cheaper. I can spend more money. I can outspend people who are not spending at all because I have a way to recoup my ad spend right away. Okay. You can convert new buyers with a simple webinar funnel. And the simple webinar funnel is ad to webinar to sale. That's it. It's like, it doesn't get any easier than that. And once again, if you're using a service like VooPlayer, where you can see where people are dropping off, where people are clicking, what's going on, then it's really, really helpful. Okay. Now you have two options. You can hire this out. If someone runs your ads for you, it's going to cost you anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 a month, depending on the type of business that you have. And then they're going to either charge you a percentage of revenue or a percentage of your ad spend. So that's something to consider. Okay. And you can DIY it as well. And this is probably one area where I would say learn to DIY it first. Most of the time I'm like, hire someone, but there are a lot of Facebook ad experts, because there are a lot of become a Facebook ad expert courses now. So you might get matched with someone who really doesn't have any idea what they're doing. And unless you know what you're looking for, you're not going to know that they don't know what they're doing, right? So this is one of those places where you do have to educate yourself. So it's going to require a little bit of knowledge first. Okay. The good news is that it's not super hard. No, you don't have to take the Facebook Blueprint course. Okay. That's like going to college to learn Facebook ads. And it's great if you want that entire body of knowledge, but for you to just run the ads that you want to run, you don't need to take that entire program. Okay. You just need to learn specifically for your business, like how to get webinar registrations. That's it, right? how to get email addresses. The even better news is that we're going to be talking about this on the next training, which is how to create highly converting Facebook ads. Okay. So if you are on here live, then you're going to be able to join us in just 8 days. If you're not on here live, then hopefully I will have access to the replay and I will include the replay in here. Do I convert higher on live webinars versus automatic live webinars? In general, live webinars are going to convert higher simply because you can provide an element of scarcity, saying like, hey, tomorrow the doors close, and it's like, it's very specific. And automated, usually the conversion rate on an automated webinar is going to be a little bit lower, but because your time is not required for an automated webinar, I consider the conversion higher. Like when I'm sitting on the couch watching House, which is what I was doing last night, and I get a sale for someone who just signs up for You've Got Clients without me having to be there, I consider that 1,000% or more conversion because I didn't have to be there live. I was watching TV and eating my Casein cookies on the couch. Okay. All right. So if you want to join us for this, you want to go to monicalouis.com/Letitia-webinar. And when you go to that page right now, you'll be able to enter your email address and get registered. What we're going to be talking about is not only how to set up an ad. So she asked me how she can customize this for my audience. So customize this for you guys. All right. So we're going to be talking about how to set up an ad, what to look for in a good ad. Like how do you know an ad is actually working well? And then how to convert those leads into sales with the ads, right? Because obviously you can convert those leads into sales with your email follow-up series, with the content that you create. But how do we create an ad specifically like on Facebook? You can tell Facebook, I want to pay you to get me purchases. And so we're going to talk about how to do that, or telling Facebook, I want to pay you to get me phone calls. We're going to talk about how you can actually do that. And before anyone asks, this is the question that just bugs the heck out of me. Yes, there will be a replay. There's always a replay. I always provide a replay. It's very rare that I don't provide a replay. If I don't provide a replay, it's only because I'm recording something that I was going to sell and I just wanted to host it live because I wanted to host it live. All right. So I'm going to pop this in the comments. I can't do it that way. Let's see. How do I stop presenting? And then click this, and then I should be able to copy that. And I would love for you guys to go ahead and register right now, unless you have any questions. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. And I'm going to stop this from sharing, and I'm back. Okay. I hope this was helpful. Was this helpful? Let me know if it was helpful. Okay, cool. B says thank you. Tasha says very helpful. Awesome. Sunday, I am using Kaggle. So Kaggle for the mind map, and there's a link where you guys can go register. I use Kaggle.it. Koggle.it. Kaggle it. Coop says very helpful. Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Well, if there are no questions on that, my question is here 40 times at this point. What question do you have? I didn't see it on there. I scrolled up. You said something. I'm guessing both. Is it both? Let me scroll up to see the questions. I think you just answered my question. I don't see your question, Kim. Oh, which category? Which category of what category? Help me. Help me help you. No, don't message me. I'm not going to answer it. I'm no longer doing private messaging coaching. So type your comment in here. I am here live right now to answer your question. I deleted Facebook Messenger from my phone, And I don't answer messages anymore. I will send people to the team inbox. I just hired a person to do support, and so I will forward your message to support. So ask me right now. This is your chance. That's why I'm here. All right, cool. All right, let's see. All right, cool. I'm going to wait while you re-explain it. And if anybody else has any questions, Sunday says, amen. Messenger, it is. It's such a time suck. I've already deleted Facebook Messenger, and I deleted Facebook off my phone completely. It doesn't prevent me from going to facebook.com in the browser, but it's not as much fun to use it on the browser, so I don't stay on there as long, which is really nice. And I was starting to get anxiety from I turned off all red badges, like the little, like, you have a message badge. But I was starting to get anxiety when I had like messages and stuff like that. And then I would open it up and it wouldn't be important anyway. So I just deleted it. So, all right. Tasha says, no one is taking my surveys, only 2 after a week. All right. So when you're doing a survey, which is one of the things that I teach in, you've got clients, which is part of the marketing. You have a couple of options. So you can submit your survey to your list, depending on how many people are on your list. If you've got, and I don't know how many people are on your list, but if you have, okay, so if you have 5 people on your list and 2 took your survey, that's like a wonderful percentage, right? That's like almost 50%. You couldn't even get 50% because you would have to get a half of another person. So in that case, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to crowdsource your survey responses. Wherever you're most active and where people are willing to respond to you, you're going to put the survey there. So whether that's Instagram, I know you mentioned that you're active on Instagram, put your survey there, Facebook. And then the next step from there is, obviously you want to try to get the survey responses from your audience, but if it's not possible, the next step I recommend is going to a site like Quora, Quora, Quora.com, and typing the specific question that your ideal client might have. Like, how do I go on a first date? It's not going to be as specific to your audience because you can't type in, I only want questions from women 32 to 45 who are mid-career professionals, right? So it's not going to be as direct or as specific, but it's a good starting point. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to go through the entire process, and essentially this is going to be your warm-up, because one of the great things that a webinar does is it helps you to build an audience. Those people are coming to that training because they're interested in that topic. Whether they convert or not the first time, obviously that would be a great thing, but because you don't have very many people on your list, they don't really know you yet, right? You haven't built that like factor with them because they're not on your email list. This is your opportunity to build that with them. And there's going to have to be some money put behind driving traffic and getting some ads there. So what I usually like to do is I try to think about what's the return for one client to sign up with me, and then that's my ad budget. So if your coaching program is $3,000, then you should be willing to spend up to $2,999 in order to get someone to become a client. And with a budget like that, you can do a lot of damage. If your offer is $1,000, then your budget is $999, and kind of go from there. All right. For those who are starting out, do you recommend a ratio for how much a person should spend versus ROI? I think I just answered that with the ad spend question. I'm assuming you're talking about ad spend. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So that's where I would start. Now, if you're selling a course or something like that, and the course is like $297 or $500 or $497, whatever it is, then obviously that's going to be your budget also. So you're going to have a little bit of a smaller budget, but it's possible. The key here is to number one, and I talked about this with my mastermind clients, but you really want to start with your higher ticket offer. It's a lot harder to maximize a $297 budget for a $297 course than it is to maximize a $1,500 or $3,000 budget for a $3,000 coaching offer. If you give me $3,000 to run ads to your webinar, like not me actually doing the work, because obviously that would mean I would have to get paid too. I'm talking about like if I had $3,000 to run ads to a webinar, like I could do a lot of damage with that. Meaning like the number of people that sign up, even if it costs you $10 per person to get a webinar sign up. Like let's just do the math right now. So if you had $3,000, Kim, I'm still waiting for you to type. I don't know how long this question is, but there's a lot of typing. So even if it were $10 per person, that's 300 people that sign up for your webinar. Even if only 20% of those people showed up, that's 60 people on your webinar. If you can't get one client out of 60 people who showed up for your webinar, then like there's something wrong. You either haven't done the research right or nobody wants what you have to offer, right? So when you think about it and you actually do the math, and first thing is like, it's not going to cost you $10 per person. I think the most I've ever paid is like $8. And now I'm getting webinar registrations for the You've Got Clients program around anywhere from $4 to $6, right? But I already know what the funnel looks like for me, so I know what I can spend. But if you're just starting out and you've got that offer, like it makes sense to have a budget for that. Okay, Kim said, I give up on my question. I'm literally over here cracking up. I don't know where you're typing it. Okay, let me, because the Restream is the one that's bringing the questions in, and it says Facebook, so I'm not seeing them. Sunday says, I'm trying to get a $497 product in an automated sales funnel webinar all day. Absolutely. The first thing I would recommend is getting your 3 testimonials at a minimum. So when it's an on-demand product, the more testimonials you have, the easier it is to sell. So get those 3 testimonials at a minimum. Then from those 3 testimonials, start working on the rest of the sales page, but really basing it on where those people were. Because what you're trying to do with an on-demand product is match the results that your clients have been able to get with the type of person. So your goal should be to only bring clients into your program who are a best fit to get results. And I think, Jill, you and I talked about that a lot in the program, but getting people in the program who are only a good fit for you to help them get results. So you want to look at your, the current people, like what do you feel like were the main reasons that they got results, and then speak to that type of person. And it's going to be easiest for you to help people get results. All right, so here's what I'm going to do, Kim, because Restream is obviously not bringing your question in. I'm going to go over to Facebook because maybe it's just not bringing the questions in from the group or something like that. I have no idea. So let me see. This is going to take a second. And then what I'm going to do is, actually, I'm not even going to stop the recording. We're going to keep going. Okay. It says there's 100 comments on this. I'm going to get the rainbow wheel of death, but I'm going to try it anyways. Who has a Mac? Y'all know what that rainbow wheel of death is? The rainbow wheel of death means do not pass go, do not do anything else, just wait and watch that rainbow spin around, and you literally can't do anything. And unfortunately, Facebook is not the best thing to open when you're trying to live stream because it's so freaking slow. And hopefully the sound won't come in. Let's make sure it's muted. It's really, really, really slow. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Let's mute this. Yes, post in the group later. Whew. Okay, that's good because this thing is not coming up. You can absolutely do that. Okay, so for everyone else, so number one, go register for the webinar, and we're going to end this in just a second. MonicaLouie.com/Letitia-webinar. So that's the first thing. Second thing, if you have further questions, here's how you can get help from me. You can post in the Get Coaching Clients community, okay? And I'm happy to answer questions there. If they're super specific, like, hey, can you look at this thing for me? That's a coaching call. So that costs money. Okay, so you can just sign up for my coaching services, and you can do the latte with Letitia. You can go sign up with that, and I'm happy to do that. But if it's like a general question, as like the types of questions that you guys have been asking on here, like how much should I spend? What is a good rate for this or whatnot? Like, I'm here to help. Okay, the only thing that, like, there's a fine line between providing help and providing free coaching. And what I consider that fine line is if it's super, super specific to your specific situation and it wouldn't help anybody else. If it wouldn't help anybody else because it's only specific to your situation, then I'm happy to answer that on a coaching call. And that's how we would do that. All right. Okay, good. Alrighty, well, I will see you guys on the next one. B says, great definition of the fine line. Yeah, and sometimes I'll do that. So sometimes when someone sends me a private message and they ask a question that's that I feel like would be considered coaching, I'll let them know, like, hey, so first thing I always say, happy to answer the question, right? I don't mind, but I will direct them to, here's how you get on a call with me, or I'll say, or you can post it in the free group, because obviously there's a reason for the free group, right? All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to all of my Zoom people, and the recording will be in the group as soon as it's ready. And I will put a link to that. Don't worry, I will email it. If you're on my list at any point, like, you're going to get it. Okay, so don't stress. Other questions, drop them in the group. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Bye. And then I will say goodbye to my Restream people. Let me see how I get stopped here. All right. You guys have a wonderful Saturday. Take care.